Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. Today we're going to talk about freeze dryers and give some of you an understanding of how they work. Hopefully I won't drag this on too much, but when it comes to freeze dryers, now this one here is drying some onions. We find that's a good way to preserve them well on for years when you have a good crop. And this is still in the process of drying. It's only got a few hours left. But we're going to talk about freeze dryers versus dehydrators and how they work. Now, everyone pretty much understands how a dehydrator works. It just basically it speeds the time. If you was going to say hang something, let it dry or something like that, it speeds the time up, which you can do a whole lot more things with it. But it works off the principle of evaporation. What it does is it heats up inside, causes the moisture to come out and evaporate off. Now, a freeze dryer works, it's a similar process. It's getting the moisture out, but it's using a different method to get it out. Now, some of you that's on the bench about freeze dryers and you want to know more about them and know why they're an extra or a better machine for preserving your food is because the way that it works, the food can be stored longer. Okay, and we're going to kind of start from the beginning. I have videos on freeze drying and we kind of go through things, but we never really talk about the process. Now, what it does initially is it freezes everything that's in the chamber down to the setting that it's set at. Now, most of them are preset at minus 10 degrees. So when you freeze something, when it gets 32 degrees, it's going to freeze. Well, the lower it gets, it's going to start expanding. So what it's going to do is it's going to kind of break the cell structure. And in a lot of ways, that's good. In some ways, it could create a problem that you might want to do a different process, and I'll explain that. But when it does that and it breaks that cell structure, and then the moisture can come out, but once it gets down to that minus 10 degrees, it's going to turn the vacuum pump on. Right? And I say gets down there about an hour after, I think is what the preset time is. So to keep it below or minus 10 degrees, once it hits there, it'll run for another hour freezing, and then it'll start the vacuum pump. And what the vacuum pump does, as it insinuates, it puts a vacuum on the chamber. Now, these trays set on a rack, and it's got a heat pad just on the top of this tray. So it heats this tray up, and plus it puts heat towards the top of the next tray below it. And you can tell that because it's actually got a heat strip or a heat pad right above this top tray. And what it does is it heats this up to whatever the preset is. Now, normally for most things, it's going to be the factory setting of 125 degrees. And it's going to heat that up to where it starts to thaw. Now, this thing's computer controlled, so it uses certain methods. It'll use the torch up here, which is registering the vacuum, to how many it's capable of pulling. If it gets up above a certain part, it's going to stop heating the trays because it wants the moisture to come out, but it doesn't want it to come out too quick. What would happen if you would start filling up your pump with water if you start heating it up and just kept it heating up. So in this process, it'll heat up the trays and then shut off for a bit and heat up, and its computer is registering based on precepts on how much moisture is coming out. So if you're doing something that's real wet, like say you're doing eggs, you're doing milk, you're doing stuff like that. When it starts to thaw, you don't want too much moisture coming out. Same thing, onions are a pretty wet vegetable, so it's going to regulate that. And that's why it takes longer. If it was just turned on a vacuum pump and started vacuuming, started heating the trays, uh, then it would be done in no time, but your pump couldn't handle it. Also, most of the moisture that comes off of these, and you might can see it's kind of hard with the reflection, but there's a uh, ring of ice in here, and depending on how much moisture is in your food, the more ice there's going to be. Uh, because a lot of the moisture actually freezes to the side while it's under a vacuum. Because understanding that it's under a vacuum, once it pulls that vacuum, there's not a lot of air moving in here. So when the moisture comes out, a lot of it will stick to the side. And what this is doing that's different from a dehydrator is that it's pulling the moisture out as a gas. A dehydrator evaporates it as a liquid, so you can feel the humidity if you open it up while it's doing, especially if you have a heavy load of something that's got a lot of moisture, you can feel that humidity. But this is pulling it off as a gas, so it's more efficient the way that it removes it. Now, certain things that you dehydrate, and I always run mine an extra 10 hours. Everyone says, how long does it take? It depends on your load. These trays are actually what you'd call overloaded. They're a little bit above the sides uh, of the tray. Normally, they say don't load above the sides, and if you don't, then it's going to freeze dry your food faster. But for me, the time to freeze it, uh, get it down to the temperature and everything like that, takes a little longer with a bigger load, but I don't have to go through all the cycles as long. And I use the extra dry time to ensure that the moisture's out, because sometimes, for whatever reason, there'll be a place in there where your uh, moisture doesn't evaporate good. So you want to make sure all that moisture's out, because when you pack this and you put this in Mylar and you're expected it to stay for 20 or 30 years and you have that moisture, it's going to spoil in there. It's going to, all the rest of that food's going to absorb the moisture that's left. And there's other considerations too when you dry certain things. And we'll talk about that. We'll go to the other freeze dryer. Now, this freeze dryer is a little more noisy. It's got the standard pump on it, and it's still going through its drying cycle. It's not in its extended time. But you can see there's an awful lot of moisture on here, because what this is this is the pulp and seeds from uh, juicing tomatoes. We save this. It's definitely usable. We can powder it up, and then we use it as a base, or you could say a bouillon or a soup uh, to give that tomato flavor. But you have tomato seeds in here. And if you let its program decide how long to run it, it's going to say it's dry, but there's moisture in those seeds that comes out very slowly, and it's not going to pick that up with this programming. So anytime you're doing something with seeds, like peppers, tomatoes, stuff like that, you want to give it some extra dry time, and that's one reason why uh, I always do it for a longer time. In fact, sometimes they leave me longer, because if it's going to stop at 10 o'clock at night, I'm going to extend the time so it's still in the process where the trays are heated and good, everything's good and warm when I get ready to take and process this and get it in the Mylar. Because if it ends, what it's going to do, it'll keep the vacuum going, but it'll shut the heater off. And the heater, or the coolness inside, being it's freezing, it'll cool everything down. Well, you know how a glass of iced tea does, or a glass of ice water. when it sets out, it starts immediately drawing moisture to the side of the glass. And it'll be the same thing to this. So if you want it to where it's going to have the minimum amount of moisture, you want it to come out of the freeze dryer while it's still warm. So consider this, whether you're doing 2 hours, extended time, or 10 like I do, you want to make sure that you take this out while it's still warm. And I think the very last part of the time, like, I don't know, it might be the last 30 minutes, it might shut the heaters off. I know when I had one that was right at the end of the time, and I didn't come to it, it was actually cold. So take that into consideration. But to understand, this process is nothing like a dehydrator. Yes, the machines are expensive, but the time that you can preserve something, you keep it on the shelf is a whole lot longer, especially if it's done right. But anyway, I hope this video helped you as far as understanding the process of the freeze dryer. If you have any questions, of course, put them in the comments. I had a comment on one of my freeze drying videos that they understood a certain amount, but they couldn't understand the heaters in there and how that played. And I hope this video kind of clarifies that for some of you and those that are on the bench that haven't started freeze drying and thinking about getting one. So you understand this is nothing like a dehydrator. But anyway, if you want to see more content like this, of course, hit that subscribe, hit the bell, select all. And of course, give it a big thumbs up. That helps my video, and share it. Enjoy that gardening experience.